Yeah, so I'm about to do one of my little prison videos and stuff, but I'm gonna give y'all like a picture of my backyard, so it's just not like a thumbnail of my. All right, so this video is gonna be over classifications, right? There's G1, G2, G3, G4, G5 in population, and it kind of determines where you can live and what kind of jobs that you can have. It also has a couple other varying factors like your education level, if you were an electrician before you got locked up and your behavior warrants it, you might be able to be working electrical or maintenance or something in the joint. Some of those jobs are a lot more desirable than other jobs. Like I know the damn fucking paint SSI back there in Seg, he used to sit there just, I swear to God, huffing paint all night long, I think, you know. But anyway, some of those jobs are super desirable. Like G5 offenders are usually housed in high security or 8 building. They're not gonna be allowed outside the walls. G4 offenders, it's a little bit less restrictive. They can work outside the walls under like armed supervision. They'll be on something called a hoe squad if they work outside the walls, and it just looks like modern day slavery. A bunch of guys all dressed in exactly white, look exactly the same, swinging Aggies and hoes and things, and just doing field type work and stuff. And and that comes from, it's probably left over from, plantation type days. I mean, it looks just like it. And speaking on that, Amendment 13 says that slavery was abolished, but except for if you go to prison, then you're essentially a slave. So look that up if you don't believe me. So G3s, they can kind of work outside. They got a whole bunch of different jobs and stuff. G1s, G2s, I think G1s are mostly in like state prisons and stuff like that, which is a little bit different. And G2s and stuff, they live in the dorm. But what a lot of people don't know is some of these guys driving these 18-wheelers and stuff, there's no boss with them or anything. They're out here just driving 18-wheelers, and that's their job. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys, Texas Department of Criminal Justice, gets its own milk, its meat and eggs and that kind of stuff from different farms and things that it runs. So there's actually inmates right now building furniture for like state hospitals and other state facilities and stuff. There's actually a magazine with products you can order. Like if I was the warden or something, I could flip through this thing and I could get me a fancy old desk made by inmates and stuff. But so that's kind of what the classification system looks like, G1 through 5. And back there in SEG, you got a different classification, system, and state jails are a little different. I never worked in a state jail, so I don't know too much about that. I think those guys have been sentenced like 6 months to 2 years or something like that. And but one thing is, in Texas, at the prison I worked at for a very long time, there wasn't any paying jobs at that prison, right? They worked for fucking free, and I said, go back to Amendment, the 13th Amendment, sorry. Go back and look at that if y'all don't believe me or whatever, man. But they wasn't paying nobody to work. Nobody was making any money back then. In other prisons, they actually have guys that have jobs and they make a little money and put it on their books and their commissary. But how would that look though? Like you finally get to a prison and you can get you a job, and you still got a bunch of years to go, but you can still get you a job. And then they say, guess what? You still got to pay restitution, so that check you think you're getting, I guess Uncle Sam is taking a cut, or that back child support that you owe, Uncle Sam is going to take his portion. That'd be fucking devastating and heartbreaking. If anybody knows any more about that part about it, like, let me know. I'm just kind of fucking curious how that looks. But all right, I'll holler at y'all. Be easy now.